Hey, what's going on YouTube? I know I haven't been here in like 2-3 weeks tops. I know I've delayed so many videos because I've been working on way more videos on my Manuel Morvarine channel, on my Vizimo or VMO or however the fuck you say it. Hope you're liking the shirt. I haven't busted this thing out in a really long time. Hopefully you can see me. And before I get started, if any of you guys really weren't into the first season of Pokemon, if you're under 20 years old, I have no idea what the hell that sound is. But if you're under 20 years old, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But if you are, you know, kudos to you. So this is going to be a very, very long, not really speech, but the conspiracy thing. I know I've been talking about this for a very long ass time. It feels like decades the last time I did a video. I'm a little rusty, so hey, try not to be too harsh. I did not to criticize, you know, fucking no pun intended. This is for my Nintendo fan page, so you won't find that in the other one. Here we go. This is going to be a very long note. This is from the author himself. Let me see what his name is. The editor's note. Well, it's actually no evidence note, but one thing I know, his name is George Eliot, Marianne Evans, Francis Bacon, DeviantArt, Bellylicious Breakfast, and the other forms. So you can look him on Google here. This is going to be a very long speech. You don't like it, tough shit, too bad. So I'm going to be reading. Whoop-de-doo. So this is the Ash and the Coma theory, brought to you by me, Nintendo fan, aka CG09. And here we go. Have you ever noticed that in pacing, tones, and story developments of Pokemon changes after Ash is hit by lightning in the early episodes? How Ash and his world are relatively normal until after the incident. I have a theory. The accident with the bike, which put Ash into a coma. Days later, he found out he was hurried to the hospital and treated with heavy medications, which is why Team Rocket became less menacing. Medications took effect in stabilizing his coma dreams, and instead of being terrified, being ideological, however the fuck you say that word, allowing him to live in his Pokemon fantasy. If you're a true Pokemon fan like my ass, half of you believe this shit, the other half don't. It's a 50-50 with me, you know. I've grown up out of this shit, but there's still things that are a blur away back in the days, back in the late 90s. How I grew up, that's how it was. So, yeah, let's continue. The accident, which put Ash into a coma, days later, he found he was hurried to the hospital. I just read that shit. After the beginning episodes, the earlier series, is the result of Ash's subconsciousness mind fulfilling high desires as well as attempting to escape reality. Should Ash realize he's in a coma, he would wake up, but suffer brain damage. So he must not take on his mental barriers once he can go into a coma, in which he's in a coma. I really don't know what that says. I'm going to skip that part because that's way too complicated. Moving on to the next scene. Okay. The coma in fantasy explains why he doesn't change much physically. It also explains the worldwide socialism, as he thought up in a safe system of government that will run smoothly and keep the world going, allowing the adventures he would like to do as well. It also explains how a child can go off into his own world and dangerously untamed animals, which is why there's always the same police officer in every Pokemon, and it's the same nurse. Officer Joy and Nurse Jenny. Well, Nurse Joy and Officer Jenny. And any of you guys know that running gag from Pokemon way back in the days when it was just those two, and they changed a lot when the 5th generation came out. Brock projects Ash, Misty, and Brock, they're just illusions. Like, they're not real. That Brock has repressed his sexuality, as he felt come to a virgin, as he grew out sexual frustrations, blah, 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 blah. I just read that shit, so here we go with this. Oh, and he is alone a projection of Ash's fatherly instincts. Brock lives in his sibling Germany's while Ash can't cope with having much responsibility for his age. Brock stays, but Professor Ivy was the part of the series, as well as getting touchy-feely with his Pokemon, exposing most of his backstory. Ash didn't enjoy this very much, is why Brock comes back horrified to speak about it. Ash's subconscious was suppressing him, so other than that, his general feeling of him dread. He has no idea what happened. I don't know, these guys do not make sense. This is how they actually printed it. It's full proof on Wikipedia and Google shit. So, yeah, let's see, continuing. Oh, further evidence of Brock being sexuality is that he keeps returning in the series after Ash meets a new girl aspect of himself. Okay, now we're going on to Misty. This is all her background story now. Misty is the first such aspect we encounter because she is the first, and she is merely an aspect of Ash, an explanation of why Misty plays so predominantly, I don't know how to say that word, in the show, because he's ultimately unattainable, which he really doesn't know before the coma. Since Misty is an initially love and interest, only subconsciously, he needed a certain level of womanhood. He felt he couldn't cope, which is lacking a real world experience, and wants the normal, pushy, arrogant Misty he knew. Thus, letting her keep her togepi, we can see in the future, is sexuality, which is traumatization, threatening to mature quickly, and blah, blah, blah. And they talk about Gary, but I don't give a shit about him, so he can go fuck off. Because he was a dick way back in the fucking days. Now they start talking about Jesse and James. I already knew this theory way before this shit came out, because I only read about this a week or two ago. I already knew Giovanni was Ash's father, the head leader of Team Rocket. That's no surprise right there. And the Cuba and Kangaskhan thing, that's nothing new. Just a little side note right there. Alright, so here we go. He remembers the good chimes with Giovanni. This plus Meowth in a certain category of Ash corrupted innocence. This is apparently because Meowth is able to speak English language, or Japanese, or whatever. In fact, the whole reason why Meowth can speak so Ash can eventually accept Team Rocket as a part of himself. Ash has issues with his father, so he put him atop the evil corporation and demises him. There are many to be actual talent, as it is doubtful Ash's father is the leader. Ash likely feels split between his personality and his father. They split because they put on Pallet Town. Just to escape the turmoil with the horror organization of Butch and Cassidy is symbolic in his ability to his father's mechanisms, or whatever that is. James is applying to homosexuality, a gay faggot. Okay, which doesn't seem to make Ash homosexuality and gullibility, and Jesse is vanity and manipulation. Since Meowth has potentially rehabilitation and doesn't want to be evil, this once again fits into the conflicting personality self-theory. Blah, blah, blah. And this is a method of his gay vain side to experiment freely, which he is really for himself free. Stop playing with it, whatever it is. Okay, now Max and May. This is for second and third generation. Now Max and May, this was when the home region Diamond, not but Diamond and Pearl, Platinum, but the other one, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald came out. So yeah, another side note there. Okay, he played the ego, Max. He played the ego, and she played the ID with the great aspirations of Sessions. They worked for a little while, but when Ash was a teenager, his sexuality came back into play. He kept reinventing himself and eventually wrote new aspects. His mind slowly brought to old times as a crutch to make transitions easier. Dawn, now this one's for Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum right here, so my mistake from earlier, is Ash giving himself a chance of love. Since he already established Misty as someone he's not likely to go anywhere with it, he created a new super female, the one that was more like him and less violent. You may note, while both May and Misty had no tolerance for Brock, Dawn used to try to shrug it off. Tracy the Breeder, this was an Orange Island one, so I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to skip that whole label right here, as you can see. Okay, blah, 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 Team Rocket again, blah, blah, blah. You people, I know you want the real good shit, so here we go. Now this is more stuff. You may recall the earlier in the show that when there were animals referenced to animals, for example, the fish in the aquarium in Cerulean City Gym, or that in the Pokedex list, Pikachu is a rat-like. These animals don't matter because Ash is psyche, so they don't come into play. As if Ash loves his puppies, everything would be able to be breed of dogs, a dog fighting circuit. But as the series goes on, we see fewer realistic animals and more Pokemon. This could be a sign of Ash's mind deteriorating, as if he's in the coma, but he's losing congestion in sunny animal canna and machinery, replacing them with Pokemon. It could be explained that these things, like electric Pokemon or working power generators, these are signs of his memory, old, worn, slipping more than time goes by. This Pokemon, blah, 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 blah. It just gets way deeper in a psychiatric contract. These people have never read Pokemon in their fucking life. So some of them, they can go fuck off. I'm not sure about the author. He's basically a dickhead, but hey, it is what it is. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions. So, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Larvitar, Pupitar, they just start going into more. I'm not really going to read this whole fucking thing. I'm just going to skip that whole paragraph and you read the rest for yourself. Okay, Ash's rivals in the Elite Four are ultimately the strongest part of the cycle, having Pokemon that are essentially godlike, that represent both what he can be attained and what is not attained. Ash's rivals are all possible for his evasions for himself. Note that they are older than him. These originated with the progression as it changes Ash's vision of himself as his ultimate desire, eventually settling down in a professor role after beating the Elite Four. With Gary Oak in retirement, his mind needed a new rival, thus he made up Richie and Paul. Paul, in his mind, is the last ditch to snap him out of his consciousness, to force Ashley comes to terms that this perfect world is not the best option to wake up himself. Paul is Ash's shadow. Once that pushes even harder and harder, nothing will be able to escape an coma. Alright, there's this one. Now Mewtwo. This is the Pokemon, the very first movie. So, me and Mewtwo, you remember that. Mewtwo is a new form of treatment done with the electric impulses and the machine and not Ash out of it, taking it down every last of his mental guards, the origin of Pokemon movie. In Ash's mind, Mewtwo and his clones were in the real world a treatment to mental safeguards that were protecting Ash and kept him in his comatose. The Pokemon of his world, the clones were counters of blah 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 blah, everything it could solve. Sorry, I got lost out of track there. And Ash is the exact copy of his defense. The clones didn't play the rules as much as they would in any special Pokemon attack or moves. They just beat down your conspiracy brute strength. Just last 4 paragraphs and I'm going to go off on the rant. These were side effects, the electrical jolts in the beginning of Ash's nervous system, and if treatment continued, he would be paralyzed. His mind manifest in the dream world by petrifying him. Were it not the end of treatment by Ash's mother, who knew her son wouldn't want to live in a world he couldn't explore. Ash would remain a stone forever, the one where Mewtwo blasts off and he turns into solid metal steel stone or whatever it is. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. After this, Ash needed to recover from the damage caused by electricity therapy. In order to reduce the dangers, Ash's consciousness fell from it. His subconscious began downplaying the effects of electrifying the world, which is why Pikachu's electric attacks, once noted for strength by Team Rocket, no longer have effect on Ash, other than comic relief, when they laugh. As we can see, Ash may be well trapped forever in this world, but like every dream, like everything, there is a beginning and an end. What would happen if Ash never recovered? In his hospital, we see Delia catch him, from Pokemon. Obviously distraught. This is taking it to a doctor with a grim look on his face. He's saying that the insurance is up and the boy has no changes to been active for 7 years. Then the shot taking off his life support is very small chance of awakening him. She tearfully agrees. Back in Ash's world, he finally defeated the Elite Four. One by one, the people around him start disappearing. Eventually, everything is blank. Pikachu comes toward him, glowing brighter and brighter, and in the darkness, eventually he reaches Ash to embrace one last time. Back in the hospital room, his life is fading. Ash mutters his final words, "I want to be the very best," just like Pokemon. Now, I want to be the very, look it up on YouTube. I'm not fucking singing that shit. Okay, he will die, never knowing his dream except nothing but a dream. When he came back to reality, he knew it was all for a lie and knew his imagination was deteriorating. Knowing that his efforts and ambitions were friends And nothing, he would never let go, but he did. Now for the rant. See, these motherfuckers right here, I'm not going to agree with every single one. That's probably the most educated video I've ever done right now. I will do another, like, offshore banking video with the Occupy Wall Street things, but that's for another video. Probably later on today. As far as that goes, I still love Pokemon no matter what. I still had all the old school training cards. They're probably going to be worth millions by the time I get older. Had all the video games from way back in the days. I know I showed that to you in my earlier videos. You can look at my channel from earlier this year. I think it was in the summer, June, July, I'm not sure. You know, I'm always going to be a big ass fan. I really don't give a fuck. All you assholes out there, you can go fuck off, basically. The trolls, the spammers, the little ass fucking kids that don't have a life, yes, go F off, because I do have a real life, alright? But, it's pretty fucking sad, you know, like, to see what they come down with, you know. Half of the shit is wrong. This Asian dude or whatever on YouTube, he tells it a lot more perfectly than I do. He pretends he's Ash. I forgot his name, but shout out to you, man. Thank you for the video. Even though you didn't give it to me, I just looked it up for myself. But the movies I was a bigger fan of with the legendary Pokemon at that time, you know, very badass, very amazing. All I could say, long story short, it's a 50-50 good and it's 50-50 bullshit. That's all I gotta say about that. So, Occupy Wall Street, all the other videos about the Boston attacks and New York attacks and all that other shit, you know, they'll come to play. I will do it later on. See you when I see you, deuces. I am getting the fuck out of here. Hope you like the video. I'm gone. I'm gonna see how long this video was. Holy shit, 16 minutes, almost half hour. Alright, laters.